You're listening to another Geek Pride podcast.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Geek Pride podcast. My name is Sean Wallace and I'm joined here by three most excellent people. I allow you to introduce yourselves in reverse alphabetical order, so let's see if you can work that out.
Surname or first name?
It should be the same either way.
Don't do that to me. You are right, but that's mental that you know that.
I'm in the middle. That's all I know.
No, you'd be first. You'd be last either way, sorry. Reverse alphabetical. And that means that our first introducee is...
Nobody.
Nobody.
Why do you have to make this complicated?
Exactly. It's his job.
Matt Geary, right, let's give a little peek behind the curtain, said, who wants to do the intro? And I stupidly said, I really don't mind. Whatever. It's all good.
Hey, that's not my fault that you can't work out the reverse alphabetical order of a list of three names really quickly.
I'm sorry, we don't all have magic powers or borderline autism, whatever you want to call it.
Anyway, I'm David Foy. Hi, is everyone? Screw it.
I am mostly Mike Orvis.
No, you need the dramatic pause.
Sorry, I'll be more Christopher Lee. Hang on. I am mostly Mike Orvis.
And I'm me, Phoebe Tonks.
International
Hooray!
Woman of Mystery, superstar journalist, and owner of a sweet makeup collection.
It's really scary that you know that.
I follow you on social media.
And IRL.
Yeah. This is so awkward.
Sorry, I appreciate a good makeup collection. Most women pop down the local bloody, Superdrug because they're doing a special offer on those fluffy key rings. Buy themselves a set of Rimmel whatevers, and I think that's a look. You seem to care in niche makeup.
This is definitely the strangest intro to a podcast I think I've done so far.
Oh.
Well, see, this is what Sean should be doing. You should have taken an active interest in your guests and then be able to give them tidbits. This is sort of like a talk show, only that none of us really are in the same room, and it's not like a talk show.
No.
Can we do this again so it's less awkward?
No.
We
Please.
carry on through. This is how it works.
Oh, God.
You've just got to
Persevere.
power through. So for people who do not know, Phoebe Tonks is as Mike says, our resident journalist, going all over the world, getting passes for us and access to events, and basically helping to legitimise us. So it's great to have her on, hear some of her opinions on some of the rather bizarre things that we're going to end up talking about.
Phoebe, have you ever found a particularly juicy bit of news and gone, what a scoop? Does that happen?
Not really.
It's a shame.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Can you reinstate that as a trope, please? Just next time you get a particularly juicy bit of news, just be like, what a scoop! Maybe if you can wear a flat cap.
No, she's got to wear a Stetson with a little bit of white paper with the word press written on it that is tucked in the top of the hat.
And
Yes.
And instead of using a mobile phone or a computer, it's just to run into an old school phone box.
Okay.
That as well.
Okay.
Just to log it in with my editor. Log it in with my editor, boys.
Yeah. Let me tell you, Perry Brown, I've got a hell of a scoop.
So I guess what we're asking is, can you reverse time by about 90 years?
Please.
I can probably find a way.
See? This is why you're an international woman.
Well, Trump's doing his level best.
He said, politically.
Oh, we've been getting really political actually the last few podcasts.
I don't know what you're talking about. Every time we're on it, we devolve into dick jokes and talking about whether Batman can fight Superman over and over again until I get told to leave.
Have you not realised we're not actually releasing those podcasts, Mike? We just bin them.
Do you know what? Story of my fucking life, Sean, basically.
It's just
I've been in more podcasts that never seen the light of day than I have been in actual podcasts that live in the world. But apparently that's normal.
Maybe for you. let's go on. And I believe that there was something, obviously, Mike, you've got something you want to talk about. David, you've got something you want to talk about. Tonks, is there anything particular that's been happening over the last lifetime that you wanted to bring up for conversation? Anything that's caught your interest or your ire?
I'm mostly just Hamilton trash at this point, so I'm loving Moana. Just because why not?
Excellent. I am going to see that after Christmas because it's got The Rock in and he's going to sing.
Apparently, he went to a singing coach. It was a whole thing. He said it was some of the scariest stuff he's ever had to do. But then I've seen the man take a dive off a 10-foot high steel cage onto a chair with barbed wire on it. So I'm disinclined to believe him when he says, "Oh, singing's hard, isn't it?"
But he needs to impress small children. So
Is there anything that he won't do at the moment? It just seems to be attached to every remake, every TV show adaptation. It's just everything.
Yeah, man's a god.
Yeah.
Isn't he like the highest? He's the highest. He's made the most money this year.
Yeah. How did that happen? Honestly, I mean, I am a wrestling fan, and even I would say he's an average performer. How the hell did that happen? That he is like.
I'll tell you what it is. In Hollywood, generally, if you're like super, super nice and you've got a good work ethic, you're normally asked to come back on project. This is through research that I've done through listening to an awful lot of podcasts with actors and comedians in them over the course of about 5 years. And they all seem to be saying the same thing. And not just actors and comedians, also like producers, writing staff, anyone just involved in that, in television, film, music, all of it. If you're not a complete arsehole and you're average, they normally ask you back.
Is that how Damien Lindelof is still getting work?
No comment.
So there you are, Tonks. You've got your basic bar there. As long as you're not a complete arsehole and you're average, then you can come back on the podcast after this.
hooray!
Whereas I'm brilliant, but an awful human being. So they just keep inviting me back as well. That's what also you can do. You can also be incredible and just Satan.
Okay.
And that's fine.
Either or.
As well.
Either or.
And that's sort of what I'm going for. That's my aesthetic. Quite good at talking, above average at that. Not brilliant as a human.
That's your jam.
That's my goal.
It's working for you,
Yeah,
dude.
that's my niche, and I'm sticking to it. Thanks, dude.
Excellent stuff. So Moana, I assume then that you've seen it.
Yep.
Did you get to see it at one of the... Oh, what's the word for something where the first time you show a film? I can't believe I forgot.
Premiere.
Soiree.
If only.
Shindig.
So they do press screenings for stuff, but you never actually usually get invited to premieres unless you have to stand outside in the cold. It's really weird.
Did you go to a press screening?
You're trying to lead into something really exciting, and it's really not. It's like, yay, we'll go stand around in the cold, wait for someone to turn up, and they never do.
Is there still? I've noticed the last few sort of big movies that have been released. There's been embargoes on journalists releasing any feedback.
Yeah.
Or any reviews of them until at least I think it's maybe only 24 hours before the release. Is that something that seems to be more frequent?
It depends on the studio. Sometimes, yeah, they're doing it, but in a way that almost gives a certain kind of publicity, because it's either got to be really, really terrible that they don't want the negative press coming out for it, or it works the other way that it is so mind-bogglingly amazing that you just want to ride the hype train all the way through and be like, yes, everyone's got to go see it and make up their own mind.
They are desperately trying to normalise that in the video games industry.
Oh, so badly. It's horrific.
Yeah, they are.
Because as some of you may know, I write for another site every now and then. Mostly do videos for them, and we get stuff through various PR guys. And yeah, there's a lot of kind of the bigger games. I say the bigger games, but even some of the larger indies are doing it now, where they will literally embargo you. You can't say a word about the game until it's come out.
Yeah.
And what's the justification for that? Obviously, you know the reason. It is because they don't. If it is not a great game, they don't want the word to get out. But is it just, what's the reason they give you? They
don't. They don't have to give a reason. And if you ask why, then you're put on. You're on their shit list. So you don't. You just behave yourself, and don't act like a dick. You just go, thank you very much for the free games. I will write good things about them unless it's terrible.
Can I have another, sir?
Jim Sterling came up with a phrase. It's like patch patch protocol or something along those lines, but it's the idea of, I know we're going a little bit off topic and we'll go back to Moana in a second, that video games are coming out with these big day one patches, and there is now this, they've normalized that initially, so you bring out a half finished game and then you can kind of finish it over a period of months and call that DLC. DLC is becoming less and less an addition to the game and more fixing it. I think it kind of started with Mass Effect 3 and has gotten worse ever since. Classic example, Street Fighter 5 coming out as a barely finished game.
Yeah.
But then with the update in August, it's awesome. Like it's a great, if you're a fan of the Street Fighter series or fighting games in general, it's now a brilliant game. It's the game it should have been, which is why I didn't buy it until late in June.
Is the reason behind that because, you know, there's more pressure on video game companies to, you know, rush a game out before release day, or is it because, I don't know, they're becoming lazy in terms of they realize that there is they can just slap a DLC out a couple of months afterwards and just, you know, that'll fix any issues that are there?
Yeah, it's almost certainly the laziness. Almost certainly that's what it's come down to, because if you think back about 10, 15 years, the game that was released, the game that was in the box, had to be basically 100% because there was almost no way to deliver a patch or anything like that would fix it. But now they've essentially, as Mike said, they've bought themselves an extra few months of the development cycle, and they're not using it like CD Projekt Red did or would in order to create new content. They're using it solely to fix all of the crap that was put in there, or that was discovered during the testing.
We're looking at you, No Man's Sky.
Yeah, No Man's Sky, exactly. Now, it's just the only thing we can be grateful for is that you can't do a day one patch for a film.
Yeah.
There's something could do with it, but
yeah, absolutely. The theory I have of this is that maybe it's a cultural thing, or maybe the media has fostered this culture because, you know, culture and media are the same. They're either the reflections or instigators of each other. Kind of a snake eating its own tail. And I would like to hear Phoebe's opinion on this after I've said it, because I could be completely fucking wrong, and you can just tell me I'm an idiot and then hit me with some sexy knowledge, or agree, or somewhere in the middle. I think we live in a kind of an instant gratification culture. Everything's short, sharp, and it's got to be here and it's got to be here now. You know, if you look at the trends in social media, Facebook Live is now a juggernaut. Periscope before that was huge. If it's not being streamed live right now, this is literally what's happening. You get it in short 6-second bursts like Vine or Snapchat or things like that. But then also you're getting that in games. You know, people are hounding, but with Twitter, for example, people are hounding creators to get their projects out fast. If you don't believe me, look at people hounding Dan Harmon or Justin Roiland about season 3 of Rick and Morty, because it's awful.
And there is the Rick and Morty reference for this week. Anyone who had 15 minutes, congratulations.
I think really that sometimes it's more that there's almost an authenticity to stuff going out straight away. You know, instead of having to wait for it and you're so hyped up for something that then it's really disappointing. You know, half the time it doesn't deliver or live up to an expectation, but when you're getting these small bits, it's almost like feeding an addiction. That it's like, yes, I've got this little bit, and it'll just tide you over until the main project or something out. So I can understand why they do it, but it's frustrating as hell.
I mean, a good example of that, and again, I'm going to use video games as my reference point. Was Hideo Kojima back in the Konami days releasing Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes a full year and a bit before releasing the Phantom Pain?
Yeah.
So, you know, that was supposed to be a whole game, but what Hideo wanted was to release this kind of nugget of a game that didn't come out at full price, you know, and it was very much, this is just a snippet of what's to come, but got you used to the mechanics of the thing and kind of gave you a basis for the story. And I think that's a great idea. You know, you get these little kind of nuggets of what's to come that help build the hype, but if it doesn't go well, then you've almost got paid for beta testing.
Yeah.
So if people don't like, you know, and yeah, that's the point I'm trying to make, and my brain's going in 7 million different directions. Sorry.
No, it's a good point. It's definitely a good point. At least that way it's done right, and to the extent that it's at a reduced cost, it's not really gonna, it's not gonna disadvantage them in any way, because people buy it and it doesn't really work. You've paid a smaller amount for it, as opposed to buying a full game. If you look at something like Destiny, which I always use the example, it's a full priced game. You buy it and you find that essentially it's not even a quarter of the actual finished game is included. The storyline's barely there. It's not a finished game in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And you're expected to pay full price, and then it's stuff that was even there in the advertising and the original trailers are just completely cut out, and yourself that's because this is going to be in DLC a couple of months down the line.
Yep.
And to me that's the biggest problem.
Yeah, I could talk for a long time about Destiny and about the problems of Destiny, and I have regular fights with Geek Pride alumni James Buckingham about Destiny because he loves it, and I loved it for a full year. I loved it, absolutely lived and breathed. I could play it every day, and then I just kind of got tired with the bullshit. But yeah, that's a story. We'd literally spend the entire podcast talking about Destiny and bore Phoebe to tears.
And all of listeners, let's not just put it on Phoebe.
No, that's let's put it this way.
So,
Anyway, Moana.
Yeah, Moana. I've heard some good things about it. Everyone said it's quite kind of clever and funny and so on. Is that your reading of it, Tonks?
Yeah. We could go political again and say it's a return to, diversity and representation that it should have had, because the amount of research that went into getting it right is quite phenomenal. But they do sort of have this tendency to mishmash all Polynesian culture together, so that if anyone didn't actually look at it properly, they could be thinking that, because these bits are Hawaiian, these bits are... I don't know anywhere else in Polynesia.
Samoa?
My geography's terrible.
Yeah, Samoa. But Maui? Is Maui one?
Yeah.
Maui might
Isn't
be
Maui
the
the
god.
god?
Is that not in Hawaii?
But...
Sorry.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean, though. As I show my blatant lack of geography. But they did that so well. The animation is really good. The hair and the water and stuff is really realistic.
That's my point for animation. Whenever I look at animation, it lives and dies on how good the water is.
Yep.
Well, it should. It kind of feels a bit like Tangled, which was a far better film than Frozen. So I was like, Frozen, we'll just write that one off. But it's sort of getting back to basics and stuff, and I just really like it. And even if it had been utter crap, I still would have gone to see it because I like Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Excellent. So it's a recommendation from Tonks then.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
He's a real classy guy, Lin-Manuel Miranda.
He's adorable.
From what I've seen of him, he's just a really cool guy.
He's been really ill this last week. It's like he's basically here. I think he's working on Mary Poppins.
Are you on Miranda watch?
And basically, he's got an inner ear infection, but he's still been tweeting away, even though he can barely walk in a straight line. So it's that's proper commitment that he'll still talk to all his fans and stuff.
So at the minute, he's Lynn Unwell Miranda. You're welcome, the internet. You can have that.
Also Hamilton, though. You need to see Hamilton and listen to it because the mixtape is fucking awesome. Throwing that out there.
Is it in London at the moment?
Not yet. It comes next year. It's just started in Chicago as well as been in Broadway. That it's done its run for the last year and a bit. But Lynn's apparently rumoured to be heading up at some point the West End debut thing. Not straight away because he's still got to do Mary Poppins and everything else in between. But yeah. It will be here.
Are you going to be there first night?
I don't know if I could go on first night. I might wait around for press night and see if I can go for free. Journalists don't get paid well. You sort of have to sell your soul for the good stuff. Yeah.
That seems like a low price for one soul, but cool.
It's well damaged at this point. It's fine.
One soul moderately used. We'll trade for Hamilton tickets.
Basically. It's a fair price.
I do.
So there you are, listeners. If you have got any Hamilton tickets that you wish to swap for a native... You're in Sunderland at the moment, aren't you? A Sunderland native soul. Then you know where to come. geek-pride.co.uk.
Is this going to be like that Simpsons episode where she just writes Phoebe's soul on a piece of paper? And then the dog starts barking her.
Is this going to be the next competition?
Oh shit, do we have to announce that?
That's just going to say, no, it's Christmas. It's after Christmas.
What a shit Christmas. I'm so sorry whoever wins that. Fanta and a soul.
Has he got it yet?
What, a soul? No.
Well,
he
no.
hasn't. No, I don't. I think he's getting it. I think he's getting it. Maybe that's why it's after Christmas, because he's going to get it at Christmas.
Right. I haven't. To be honest, I haven't heard anything else since that episode. Since we discussed it that episode, I haven't heard anything else.
Okay, listeners, if you are listening, and that's why I'm calling you listeners, it's not a clever nickname. You need to hashtag make Matt great again, GRATE, to get in with the chance of winning some Fanta from Northern Ireland. I'm not making it sound exciting because it isn't.
To win some goddamn Fanta from Northern Ireland. It's like the second best Fanta in the world.
Yeah, can I be honest? Seeing as Gary isn't here and I'm the token Irish guy here tonight, Northern Irish Fanta is not great. Matt has this absolute fetish over Northern Ireland Fanta. It's actually not that great, to be honest. It's too sweet. It's too much sugar.
Listeners, if you want to win something that's not worth drinking, then please hashtag make Matt
He'll be
great
heartbroken
again.
that I betrayed him. He'll be heartbroken that I betrayed him by, dissing Northern Ireland Fanta, but yeah, it's not that great.
I was going to say, does he actually listen? But then he has to edit it, so...
No, I'll probably be editing this one, so he might even not hear this.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, make Matt great again.
Make Matt great again. Right, so that was Moana / Hamilton and the price of Phoebe's soul. Mike!
Hello. I'm going to try and make it quick because I know the meat of what we're going to be talking about is going to probably go on for a while and a lot of people are going to have opinions. So allow me a minute to just be very excited about the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer.
Kate, 60 seconds, go.
You want me to just rant about it for 50 seconds?
Well, now you've got 57, so...
All right, cool. Yeah, it was totally awesome. People have commented, even on the members of this podcast have said that it's sort of being shot like a John Hughes movie, and I am totally down with that. It's Spider-Man going back to the roots of an awkward teenager. He's been kind of dragged kicking and screaming into the late 21st century, and I couldn't be more happy about the characterization, about the shot style, about some of the sort of found footage nature of some of the bits. The costumes look brilliant. I'm loving the web wings. I'm such a nerd for the web wings. If he can just web himself a little backpack as well, I will literally, like, that's it. I'm so happy with that. And his relationship with Tony Stark is on point. Is absolutely on point. Some people are wondering if Tony Stark's going to be in the movie for too much. My personal theory is that halfway through he's going to be like, you can't be an Avenger. You're not qualified enough. You're in over your head in things you shouldn't be doing. He takes away the suit, and that's why he goes back to the original suit, and you see that in some of the clips. Thank you.
Okay, 64 seconds, so B-, but well done.
Oh, I wasn't even looking at the time as well. I was just I was counting it out in my head.
Well, there you are.
So I'm 4 seconds out of time. Damn it.
Well, at least you know now, so next time you go for a calibration. Yeah, I mean, flat out, it looks like a great teaser trailer. Yeah, just basically everything that you see there looks fantastic. Vulture looks very interesting, the few seconds that we saw.
Yeah, I love that it's Michael Keaton. Yeah. I love that it's Michael Keaton. I've already seen the memes of Birdman being like, I need an upgrade, and then you've got the Vulture. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. And I believe you see a bit of Donald Glover as well.
Oh, nice. In the teaser, was this?
Yeah, in one of I've seen about 4 different trailers that all have tiny amounts of extra footage in them. But I swear you see Donald Glover, because I saw someone commenting about it on YouTube. And if that's true, I saw a dude who looked a bit like Donald Glover, but I didn't pause it because I don't know why I didn't pause it. But anyway, for those of you who don't know, Donald Glover has been heralded by fans. To the point where Sony literally had to tell Donald Glover's agents and people to tell his fans to stop bugging Sony about it. that he should be Miles Morales as Spider-Man, which is why in Community season, I think it's 5, but it could be 4, he wakes up in a Spider-Man onesie just to taunt fans. It's like the first episode back, you see everyone getting up and going to college, and you see him get up in a Spider-Man onesie, and you're just like, ah! Ah! It's incredibly exciting. But yes, you see him in there, so maybe it's very exciting.
Maybe. But we do know he's going to be young Lando Calrissian, which brings us to David.
Yo,
Nice.
Good segue.
Nice. That was a segue Paul Blart Mallcott would be proud of.
That was fantastic. Yeah, I think I had to discuss it. Obviously, this podcast will come out around the time, after the time the release of Rogue One. A film that I have.
Oh, sweet. Spoilers, the Death Star blows up in the sequel.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be released this week. The podcast will be out afterwards. So just had to bring up the absolutely ridiculous boycott Star Wars movement that seems to have reared its very ugly head over the past few days. Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, it's essentially a theory or a false news story started by some random right-wing affiliated Twitter user. It infers that recent reshoots that took place earlier on in the year to add new scenes into Rogue One, that it specifically includes a scene including a negative reference to Donald Trump himself.
How?
Yes, and also that they are trying to directly compare the Galactic Empire to the alt-right movement itself. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. So it was a singular Twitter user put this idea up, and the typical alt-right bloggers, commentators saw this as an opportunity to try and get some free publicity or notoriety online, and have begun to try to whip up some anti-Star Wars fervor in the past few days.
So do you know
amazing.
what's bizarre about this isn't the first time that the alt-right has done this, because they did it about The Force Awakens as well, because they said it was promoting white genocide because it was about a white lady and a black man.
Exactly.
It's really, really funny that we're calling them the alt-right when, you know, The Force Awakens is about the Empire rebuilding under a new name. That's just interesting that both would sort of rise up at about the same time. Let's call them what they are, they're fucking Nazis.
Yeah.
Come at me. I'm at _dark_Mike on Twitter. You fucking complete tosspots.
Look, we as I was mentioning to the guys before we started. I mean, we have been getting quite political during a few of the podcasts that we've done recently, but which we try to stay away from in the most instances. You know, we are an alternative geek website. We try to include everyone. We're inclusive. We try to include everyone, but some of the, you know, with all of this coming up and some of the claims that they've made, which I've actually got a list here, some of them have to be, you know, we have to discuss them and have to, you know, out them for being the absolute bullshit that they actually are. You know, I'll give you a few.
Just before we start 100%, I just want to make it very clear to everyone listening that the reshoots done earlier this year were to include more Darth Vader.
Yes.
That's why they reshot earlier this year. It's because they wanted to have more action of Darth Vader actually, I don't know, dancing, whatever he's going to end up doing.
It was just to try. It was to tie it in with A New Hope. It was to tie it in with A New Hope even more. To have that direct continuation. Yeah, to include Darth Vader to really pay service to the fanboys, which hey, I have no problem with that. I'm looking forward to the film. I still have my fears about it, but hey.
Do you reckon we're going to see R2 in this film?
I don't think so.
Because if we don't, this is the first Star Wars movie of all the Star Wars movies and TV shows and everything, including the Ewoks cartoon, that we won't see R2 in, which is interesting.
Well, unless you have it read down, because I know Jimmy Smits is in this film, as in Organa's, or God, I can't remember his name, but you know, Princess Leia's adopted father. It might tie in where you maybe have the runnership at the end of this, and then that leads directly into A New Hope, where you know the start of A New Hope, with the Star Destroyer chasing the runnership. So you might have a throwaway sort of cameo of R2D2 in that.
Okay.
Well, Mike can only hope.
Yeah. As long as C-3PO isn't it, I don't really care, to be honest. Fucking hate that character. Always have.
Speaking of hatred, so let's have a go at these ridiculous
yeah.
claims from...
So
Like, I think my preferred term is the alt-right. I still like that one.
that's fantastic. That is fantastic. Right, so this is myself today before when I got first into work, and I knew we were going to be discussing this tonight, so I thought, bugger it, I'll sit down on Twitter and try and gain exactly some of the claims, and within 10 minutes, these are 4 of the claims that I found. So first of all, that as the majority of the main writers of the Star Wars saga have been Jewish, they're trying to claim that it's filled with pro-Jewish and anti-Christian propaganda, even though obviously the Jedi religion contains, not so subtle references to Christianity, such as faith and hope and the unseen, all-powerful influencing force. Anakin is the Messiah, life after death through the Force, etc., etc.
So, right, okay. Did they cite any particular, like, Judeo imagery?
No, just it's essentially just that that Lawrence
There's that
Kasdan
big upside down cross that Kylo Ren carries around.
Yeah, but that would be Satanism.
Satanism,
That's
yeah.
not Jewish. Come on, Mike.
I think the majority of it came down to Lawrence Kasdan, which, to be totally honest, I don't even think he is Jewish. But I think because of the work that he's had on Empire Strikes Back and then The Force Awakens, he's the one that they seem to be aiming or actually himself and the writers from Rogue One. They're the ones that they're aiming the majority of their ire at.
Nazis hate Jews isn't exactly a piece of news for you all, but for fuck's sakes, I think covers that mostly. Tonks, does FFS cover it? Is there more that we should add there?
I'm just being quiet. I'm like the token Jew in this conversation, so...
Of course, yes, you're actually Jewish. I'd sort of not suspected, but I sort of remembered.
Suspected?
Oh,
That's
God.
not the phrase to use
I
when
know.
you're having this conversation. I had suspected you of Judaism.
All right, I'm just going to fuck off now because I'm an idiot. No, I'd sort of remembered from your Facebook posts and so on.
From your papers when I asked for them that
God.
you are in fact Jewish.
On this like Star of David that I just wander around with all the time.
God. Oh, Sean.
Yeah, she spilled her makeup bag in front of me the other day and just a menorah came out of it. I was like, oh, yeah, of course.
That's topical though, because Hanukkah starts on Christmas Eve.
Right? Yeah, I'm topical as fuck, me. Got my finger on the pulse.
So I'm just kind of blushing immensely and feeling...
Which is terrible, Tonks, because he is massively ginger. Like, he's probably glowing right now.
I'm not massively ginger, I'm a half ginger.
But yeah, as the token Jew of Geek Pride, how do you feel about all of this?
I just think it's quite funny. Not that people actually are that... Well, yeah, it's quite funny that they're that delusional. It's almost as if writers can't write about anything, isn't it? It's like you think, oh look, it's fiction, but no, we've got to find a way to sneak our religion in there somewhere, because that's exactly what's on their mind.
I'm always doing it, yeah.
That's true. Mike's always putting Taoism into everything he writes. It's really frustrating.
I'm a Taoist. Absolutely, yeah.
Like, even in his articles where he's reviewing, like, The Matrix or something, there's always Taoism in there.
I'm like, shalom and welcome to my...
Oh dear. Okay, so that's claim 1.
Oh no! Sorry, my brain's gone to a really funny place. YouTube. So instead of like people being like, "What's up, guys?" it'd be like, "Shalom, guys." L'chaim. This is Geordie, and we're gonna play some World of Warcraft. Excellent. If someone wants to make a skit of that.
Okay. You do realise that YouTube is actually a term that, like, 4chan and so on use to talk about YouTube?
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Like, I'll surprise you here, 4chan's anti-Semitic and racist and so on.
I thought they were just anti-everything.
Yeah, they don't seem to be very anti-white guys. That seems to be...
Oh.
So you're safe, Mike, you're safe, don't worry.
I don't really use 4chan anymore. I did when I was a teenager. I'll occasionally look at the odd set of porn gifs, just as a bit of a change. You know, invite a friend over. Look at some porn.
Record a gentlemanly chat.
As you do.
Yeah, gifts with friends, I like to call it. Just chilling out. Have a bit of a cuddle on the sofa, watch some porn. Like it's the 70s, bit of a throwback. It's nice.
Porn gifts and chill.
I mean, I think, David, that Porn Gifts and Chill sends more of a powerful message than Netflix and Chill. I mean, nothing's
I think
really
it
left to the imagination. It's not like,
No.
don't finger blast me, please, because I'm trying to find out what's happening in Breaking Bad. It's quite a powerful message that you're sending, all of you listeners. If there's someone that you're trying to sort of crack onto and you're not really sure, can you please just go with the bold statement, Porn Gifts and Chill? And if that happens, and I just want to know what the results are, please.
And when you get summarily rejected afterwards, please direct your ire to @the_dark_Mike.
With the hashtag Porn Gifts and Chill. Thank you.
That's the next competition.
Can we go back to just very quickly there?
Yeah.
Just to the fact that when Mike does invite someone over for Netflix and chill, his go-to move is the finger blast.
No, I said stop trying to finger blast me while I'm trying to catch up with Breaking Bad.
Sorry, let me correct this. So you think the other go-to move is going to be to finger blast you?
No, not me. I was just being a potential love interest. I was embodying another character. Just because I don't embody that gender or that race, Sean, doesn't mean I can't fictionalise about it. Phoebe's just said that, man. Finger on the pulse, yeah?
Or on whatever else it needs to be put on.
Exactly. The clitoral hood. Or labia majora. I'm not fussy. Depends entirely on the partner.
Claim number 2 is that as The Force Awakens and now Rogue One both have female lead protagonists, spoilers, that these movies have an underlying pro-feminist, anti-male agenda, which is a betrayal to the male-dominated movies of the original trilogy and the prequel. So say a few writers from connected with Breitbart, which again is complete and utter bullshit.
Fucking Breitbart.
Yes, exactly. I mean, yeah, you know what? We take it back to the point in terms of having female leads. What's the issue with that? There's always been strong female characters in Star Wars. Leia and Padme, even though at times they were the token, damsel in distress at times, but they were strong female characters. They were leaders.
I mean, they're normally whenever they're in a position where their power's taken away from them, arguably that is always resolved on screen. For example, Slave Leia choking out Jabba.
Yeah.
So they always do kind of take the power back. The only time that's not happened is when Padme dies giving birth to her kids, because arguably, what's his fucking name? Darth Sidious? Darth Tyrannus?
Anakin?
Hang on.
Oh, Tragus?
The senator. Palpatine.
Tragus or something like
Palpatine? I've literally forgotten all of Star Wars. It's left my brain. It just went, you don't know anyone or anything. Who are you? Where are you now? Senator Palpatine, Darth Sidious. Yes, well done, Mike. He used to be... Who was Darth Tyrannus? Count Dooku.
Darth Tyrannus.
Yeah, that was Dooku.
Was it Dooku? Right, okay.
Christopher Lee.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for clearing up my tiny brain fart. I apologise to everyone involved. You can take away my Geek card and then reinstate it when I've done some kind of daring thing in the third act and I need my badge and gun to actually, do the bust. Anyway, yeah, Darth Sidious arguably takes Padme's life force and puts it into Anakin because Anakin's dying because Obi-Wan thinks it's a great idea to cut off both his arms and legs to teach him a lesson.
Anyway, think it's pretty clear to say that just having a woman as a main character doesn't mean that it's anti-man. No more than having a black person as a main character means it's anti-white, or having a gay person as a main character means it's anti-straight, or having a hero as a character meaning it's anti-Nazi. No, hang on, wait.
Yeah. Well, actually, the mention of anti-straight leads me on to my next point, or the next claim.
Okay.
Which the next claim, which is that as Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi, or to be honest, any of the Jedi, don't have any female love interests during the saga. This means, according to alt-right commentators, that they are obviously gay, and that the Jedi religion is actually a glorified gay cult.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
They're trying to use the two reasons that they try to use as proof of this. One, Mark Hamill gave an interview to a joke spoof interview where he essentially mentioned that he thought that Luke Skywalker was gay. And two, they try to use the outrage of the Jedi Council against Anakin because of his relationship with Padme in Episode 3 as proof of a Jedi pro-gay agenda. Again, that's connected with Breitbart. So,
what the fuck? That's madness. That's absolute madness.
I do quite like the idea of an aggressively gay Jedi Council, though. That would be hilarious.
No, I want a fabulously gay Jedi Council, and I want them to redo A New Hope with a fabulously gay Luke.
Can we get like RuPaul's Drag Race, the Star Wars?
I'm going to Tashi Station to pick up the power converters. That would be incredible.
I think RuPaul as a Jedi Master would be quite interesting.
Yes.
Mace Windu, awesome.
RuPaul just plays like a normal character, but it's very obviously RuPaul.
No, they just go down to Coruscant, and instead of Yoda, it's RuPaul. Only a fifth deals in absolutes, you big silly.
Oh dear.
Don't fuck it up.
Luke, you've turned off your power. You've turned off your targeting computer. What are you thinking?
Not all gay people speak like that. That is Mike's opinion, yeah. And
excuse me. I caveated that with fabulously gay. Follow the thread of the comedy. I wasn't just saying, oh, if he was gay, he'd sound like this. If he was gay, he might go, I'm going to Toshi Station to pick up the power converters. Also, I'm gay. Right? That's fine. You said you wanted a furiously gay Jedi Council. I said I wanted a fabulously gay Jedi Council and a fabulously gay Luke. A fabulously gay Luke might sound like RuPaul.
Also Adam from He-Man, because that's what your voice kind of sounded like.
Yes.
Oh. Amazing.
I have the power.
I was actually watching a documentary the other day about the 80s He-Man movie, the Master Universe movie, right. And how obviously they Hasbro wanted to have the backstory and have Prince Adam and as much of attorney as they could do, but obviously the production company who made the movie canon ripped Hasbro off for so much money, ran off with a lot of it, and then just based it on Earth just to save a bucket ton of money. And Hasbro were so pissed off because they wanted to try and sell as many toys as they could. So they wanted as many characters included in it, but the only character they didn't want featured was Prince Adam, because they thought he wouldn't suit an 80s action film.
I think also as well, from that era, isn't She-Ra considered to be quite a big kind of lesbian icon? Because she's like one of very few kind of female-led powerful cartoons at that time.
I have never heard that, but that's awesome.
You mean anti-men led powerful
cartoons? Sorry,
cartoons?
One of the only famous anti-male, man-hating.
Don't tell Breitbart.
Don't tell Breitbart.
Hashtag don't tell Breitbart.
Right, and finally number 4. This is the one I found the most ridiculous, even though I can see why some people would, some stupid people would probably come up with this, but that the Star Wars saga itself is actually an open celebration of terrorism, as its heroes are a rebellion against a structured, stable government. And that at both the end of A New Hope and Return of the Jedi, as in the assaults against the 2 Death Stars, that they should be seen as attacks in the same vein as the September 11th attacks on the World Trade Center.
What? In fairness, Star Wars Rebels, the first season, is a bit terroristy.
Really? I've actually, that's one thing I've never watched. I've never watched the Rebels cartoon.
It's great. It's really good. It's really good. Yeah, there's literally one bit of silliness that I've rolled my eyes at, but the new canon of Star Wars has actually been pretty boss if you include the comics. But yeah, first season quite terroristic.
Okay.
I think, like you said, like they do sort of have a point, because there's a very widely shared comic which is from the Star Wars universe, from the perspective of a stormtrooper whose parents are killed by the rebellion, and so he joins the Empire in order to fight against them, and he's kind of saving people from rebellion targets. And he talks about being a stormtrooper as though it's an act of incredible heroism. Spins things a little bit on their head, the way that comic books absolutely love to do with topics like this. So the idea itself isn't ridiculous, except for where it's coming from. Yeah,
But it kind of is.
It also conveniently sidesteps the issue of the structured, stable government. The fact that it's actually an undemocratic empire ruled by a tyrannical despot, but I mean, sure.
Yeah.
We'll let them have their.
I mean, if we are going to talk about the rebels as terrorists, we are going to need to enter the clerks' conversation about the construction workers on the Death Star.
they knew what they were getting themselves into.
Yeah, I mean, they saw the first one and just went, "Yeah, all right, cool." Do you think that, like, after the first Death Star blew up, I don't think the Empire had plans for a new one. I just think they got hit by a really impressive sales pitch. Whoever, like, Intergalactic Construction Inc., IC, sent their top salesman to Vader.
Was it kind of like the monorail in Simpsons? Really? Monorail.
Yes. Sorry, Marge, the mob has spoken. Yeah, exactly like that.
Well,
yeah, just like a sweet sales pitch.
But with amazing hazard pay.
Yeah.
Well, here's a question. Why don't they get, like, robots to do most of the building? Because they wouldn't ever tire or need to be fed.
Because it'd take too long, and they need it now.
Are robots slower than humans?
No, you think that they'd be quicker.
I don't know, you'd need them to be a bit slower, because otherwise, what's going to stop them from overthrowing you in the first place?
Exactly.
They need them to still be subservient to a certain extent. You can't actually just send them off on their own accord, because then they might think, nah, bro, and just decide they want more pay or whatever, because robots probably need wages of some description.
We're going to start getting back into Westworld here, and the discussion from the other week.
A little bit. I tell you what it makes me think of is from Knights of the Old Republic, HK-47, who is by far one of the best robot characters in history.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you ever played Knights of the Old Republic, Mike?
I haven't, no.
Right, okay. HK-47 is an assassin robot.
Oh, does he drive the I-2000? Or is I-2000 another assassin droid?
I think I-2000 is a different assassin's droid.
Okay.
But he's intelligent, he's kind of self-aware and so on. And he's just an amazing character because he breaks out of his program and becomes an AI, but still just loves killing and so carries on doing it.
Oh, he's like Crumbopulous Michael.
Yeah, a tiny bit.
I just love killing.
But one of the best things about HK-47 was that his manner of speaking is that he says the mood or the tone in which he's going to say, like what he's about to say, should be read.
Oh, like those dudes in Mass Effect.
Like, yeah, those dudes in Mass Effect took it from HK-47.
Oh, right. Okay.
And it does some brilliant lines like, placating statement, I would never kill you, master.
Have any of you guys read any of the new canon Star Wars comics?
No.
I'm too loyal to the old ones.
Well, Vader, the Vader that Karen Gillan's run on Vader is fucking incredible. He sort of assembles his own little team, and there's a dark version of C-3PO essentially, who's got like loads of like death gadgets essentially. So he talks like C-3PO, but he's like evil, which is brilliant. He's like, oh sir, do you mind awfully if I eviscerate these fools? Like it's just incredible. And there's like a dark version of R2-D2 as well, who's like an astromech, because obviously Vader's got a bit of a soft spot for a plucky droid combination.
That sounds like a fetish rather than anything else. I mean, he's got a hard spot for...
Go to Xvids, type plucky droid combination.
Porn gifts?
Porn gifs.
Porn gifts
Porn, GIF,
with
and chill.
friends. Porn gif and shit.
But yeah, no, yeah. I mean, in terms of the whole movement itself, I mean, it just as I said, it is just ridiculous. I would say first of all, this isn't specifically against America, because I mean the movement itself, a lot of it was actually started in Europe and Asia, to be honest. But it's now been taken on by a lot of the American bloggers and commentators. But it just seems to be it's really just an example of his paranoia. That seems to exist at the minute in America, specifically around Trump voters. You know, it's their unwillingness to accept any sort of criticism from any organization or industry associated with the left or liberals, you know, like movies or TV or
Yeah.
theater or so on. If again, bringing it back to Phoebe, you were talking about Hamilton.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a protest, but it was just basically, you know, the cast of Hamilton decided just to use their platform to just, you know, put their opinion out to the new vice president elect.
Weirdly enough, he was okay with it though. He was totally fine with it,
exactly.
and he applauded the show afterwards and was saying about, yep, it was great that they used their whatever amendment right it was to actually come out and say it. And then Trump's like, no, it's such an attack, and it's like, what kind of attack have you seen, mate?
I've seen the video. It was a perfectly peaceful, you know, it was almost like it was part of the performance. Everyone gave him a big clap, and then whoever the dude was who's playing the lead came forward, gave this written statement. Everyone applauded. It was totally fine. There was no booing or anything like that. Well, there was booing when he said that Mike Pence was there, but you know, the guy in charge of the crowd was like, hey, you know, stop that. Yeah, there wasn't an attack.
It was respectful.
Yeah, the problem came though when the aggressive gay Jedi Council stepped in.
Yeah,
That may be where it came from.
I mean, the one thing I would say, you know, against the people I feel really sorry for in all of this are the kids of these nut jobs. I mean, can you imagine, you know, one of these people talking to their kids, you know, sorry kids, can't go to see this film that you're really desperate to see because its makers dared to slag off, you know, the billionaire racist shitebag I voted for in the last election. But sure, we can stay home and watch The Celebrity Apprentice or Home Alone 2 instead. You know, I'll even buy you a takeaway, just make sure it's not Mexican.
yeah.
They're just drawing really weird parallels though, because it's like real life and fiction are not the same thing. You know, well, unless they've got some weird government conspiracy. Maybe they've got a Death Star in the works, and that's why they don't actually want people going to see this, because thinking, hey, we can actually throw this tyrannical government.
Oh my god! And in Obama's lifetime, in his
Presidency.
Yeah, he was issued a petition to build a Death Star and literally got the Science Council to research how much it would cost and then sent a letter back. So who's not to say that Trump got wind of this and then just went, right, okay, the liar Obama said this. We're going to build a wall and we're going to make the Alderanians pay for it.
Pretty much everyone, I guess. Because Alderaan doesn't exist. Phoebe ruined that for us.
Shattering the illusion.
Yeah. I honestly thought that Star Wars was a series of documentaries.
If it was a series of documentaries, why did we get a prequel?
Because it's footage that was shot earlier, and then they just decided to go back and do a second series.
Exactly, there you are. See? I think, to say in no uncertain terms, just fuck off if you doing hashtag boycott Star Wars. Like, just fuck off. Just fuck all the way off forever.
Someone made an extremely good point on Twitter, which I have to commend. They said that, well, you know, if these types of people are going to actually boycott Star Wars, excellent. It means that you're 97% less chance of getting shot in the cinema while you're going to see it.
Fuck.
That's my political slant for tonight, anyway.
Right, and on that rather wonderful... No, we can't end on that image.
No, we can't.
We just
Some
can't
positive,
end on
come
the image of a Nazi shooting up children in a Star Wars showing. It's just not something we can finish on. It's just...
God.
Well, I would end it with fabulously gay Luke, but you seem to upset you, so never mind.
Gary's gonna kill us when he hears this. He's gonna fucking kill us.
Guys, I can't have you having that out.
Oh Jesus.
This is all a dream, Matthew. This is all a Fanta-induced dream. This hasn't really happened. Woo!
Think of your man cave.
Yeah, think of the man cave and all the gym selfies. They're nice, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Couple more gym selfies.
Tell everyone about your date nights. Publicly broadcast your burgeoning relationship, because that's not toxic or damaging at all. That's right. Here's a good mate. You're just all right. It's okay. We love you. It's all right. Maybe invite her over for born gifts with friends. And Jill, let us know how it goes. Maybe you should tweet about it or take more selfies with your cat. There we go. And on that note,
I'd be sort of interested to know what gifts that Matt would.
He's going to make us record this again. He really is. See you all again tomorrow night.
No, I've just rearranged another podcast for another a Geek, not the Geek Pride podcast, but a Geek Pride podcast for tomorrow night, which is actually going to be about Star Wars, weirdly enough. But anyway,
The premiere's tomorrow night.
is it? Oh, that's very timely.
Are you going?
I'm not going.
Yeah, I meant you, Mike. Clearly, that was the one that question was referring to.
I don't think so. Although I really would like to. Because the actual list of people that's supposed to be turning up is kind of epic.
Is there a chance that you're going to get to go?
Probably not.
Oh,
My soul is promised elsewhere, so...
Oh, damn.
Soul has to go for the Hamilton tickets. And on that strange promissory note, we shall end the podcast. Thank you very much for listening, everybody. I've been Sean Wallace.
I've been the living representation of the alt-right.
I've been David Foy.
And I'm the soon-to-be soulless Tonks.
Hey.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.